So, yeah, we have to all of a sudden talk about this. Why do we have to talk about this? Because there are basically the conspiracy theories are running wild right now. They are running wild. And the fact is that the Indiana Fever as an organization are doing nothing. Like, if they are moving in a way that, it's like they're moving in a way that they're basically trying to leave hints at there's a conspiracies going on. And there's people, they're almost trolling by leaving hints with the conspiracy theory people. And then afterwards being like, what? It's ridiculous, isn't it, that these conspiracy theories exist? So, Sophie Cunningham's not here in this picture. You know who was there yesterday? You know who was there? Yeah, Sophie Cunningham. Sophie Cunningham was there. And you can see here with Sophie Cunningham, she has something on her elbow. Very clearly. Like, she very, very clearly has something on her elbow. And I have no doubt about it that Sophie Cunningham is that Sophie Cunningham has an injury. I have absolutely no doubt about that. I'm not going to consider that, because them lying about an injury to basically hide a suspension is something that I don't think they're going to do, and we're not going into that. Because let's be real, remember that Caitlin Clark is actually not injured. She's suspended for going at Breanna in January. Bullshit narratives. We're not going that far. But there is the narrative now, because Sophie Cunningham suddenly has an injury. Where it's like, okay, like they said before the game, she had a bit of an elbow spurt. And in the game, she looked fine. She looked absolutely fine. But like, again, adrenaline can get you through a game. And she's obviously trying to practice here, or at least get shots in. She's wearing basketball shoes and Nike socks. Adidas won't be happy with that. And she is also wearing a sleeve on one arm. Like, it is what it is. But suddenly, Sophie Cunningham not in this picture has fans being like, oh, where's Sophie? Where's Sophie? Like, oh, is she being punished? But like, the Fever posted this photo. I don't think she's being punished. The problem is like, again, the Indiana Fever, the conspiracy that the Indiana Fever and Steph White are controlling the media, which I don't believe, but it's now one of these situations where it feels almost like saying I don't believe it is just wishful thinking. It's just wishful thinking, because Stephanie White went on a radio show of somebody that basically put out a fucking hit piece on Caitlin Clark last week. And whatever about going on the show, it's like, oh yeah, didn't even wait any time. And then obviously, they kicked Sophie off the team for passing to Clark and Gazelle Kelsey Mitchell. I don't think so. But all of a sudden, everything is talking about, oh, where's Sophie? Where's Sophie? Where's Sophie? Like, I've seen so many tweets about why Sophie Cunningham isn't there, and Sophie Cunningham is being punished, which is why she had to go and post after the game. People posting memes. I will not pass to Caitlin Clark again. So why Sophie Cunningham isn't in the picture with Kid Cudi? They sent her to write lines on the blackboard. Like, now suddenly she's carrying a bit of an injury. And then you've even got people being like, trying to point out that Stephanie White is like angry looking in this picture. I'm being very real. Stephanie White is not looking at Sophie Cunningham in this picture. She's looking at practice. I'm like, fans are not like, coaches are not going to be happy when they're focused on practice. She looks focused more than she looks pissed. But now you've got people looking into every single body language thing between Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White and these other players and Stephanie White, and the fact that they were saying in the footage of the scrimmage, Caitlin, Lexi and Sophie weren't in the scrimmage. And because they weren't in a scrimmage, everyone was like, oh, Caitlin, Lexi, and Sophie are like they're being punished for speaking out. The two of them are being punished for going rogue, and Lexi's being punished for letting it be known that they were trying to draw a foul. But it's one of those things where I'm like, it's getting bad. It's getting bad. Like, all of these narratives. And I'm seeing like AI of like how Sophie Cunningham injured her elbow. And there's AI videos of Stephanie White taking down Sophie Cunningham and putting her in an armbar. Like, it is hilarious. It is objectively hilarious, some of this stuff. But like, obviously, fans are going to run with like whatever they can. They're going to run with whatever. And the Indiana Fever, like, Sophie Cunningham's not here. It would have been funnier if they just photoshopped her in or something. But it doesn't really matter. They posted with Sophie Cunningham. Sophie Cunningham was there. This isn't one of these situations where Sophie Cunningham is being punished by the Fever for passing the ball to Caitlin Clark. That's not what it is. But at the same time, like with some of the shit that's going on with this organization, I don't know. Something weird is going on. I don't know what it is. I don't know what they're doing. Again, I theorize they are planning on trading Caitlin Clark. They're not doing it this season. Unless the season really goes to shit. Like, they're playing the Chicago Sky tonight. They're playing the Sky tonight. Like, I have almost zero doubt that they're going to beat the Chicago Sky. That being said, it's one of those things where, like, you're looking now and they should very, very well beat that team and get to 7-4 or 6-5, 7-5. And then they face like the Tempo, who are bad, and the Sun, who are bad. Like, they can get to 9-5 and make the Commissioner's Cup final and everything's forgotten. But like, if they do anything less, if they do anything less than win the rest of their Commissioner's Cup games, questions are going to be asked, because they face off against the Connecticut Sun, the Toronto Tempo, and who else is it? The Sun, the Tempo, and who the fuck's in the Eastern Conference as well? Portland are in the West. They've already played the Mystics. They've already played 3 games. The Sun, the Tempo, and they've already played the Dream. I am blanking on who else Fever are playing. And the Sky, sorry. Sun, Tempo, Sky. If they don't win those 3 games, there really is going to be questions. There's really going to be questions asked. Even if you lose one of those 3. If you go in 2 games above 500 with the cakewalk schedule, there's going to be questions. And the problem is that all this online bullshit is not going anywhere. It's not. I don't really care what anyone wants to say. It's not going anywhere. And the Indiana Fever as an organization are not helping matters. I'm not saying they're sabotaging Kate. I'm not saying they're sabotaging Sophie or any of that shit. But what I'm saying is they're really not helping things.